from Obafemi Awolowo University.
This is
Team Highstein!
Do you know that the Charter Quest CFO Case Study Competition tests the grasp of classroom theories in real-world scenarios?
Yes, but that was why we entered. It is more than just scooping A in an exam. It is a springboard for development of one's emotional intelligence.
Do you know that the Charter Quest CFO Case Study Competition is a battle for young professionals to reimagine education? We hope to be continental forces that cannot be ignored in the field of finance, management and accounting. We envision carving roles for ourselves at the center of profits, people and peace.
Please share and vote for Team Highstein representing Nigeria in the ongoing Charter Quest CFO Case Study Competition.
On that note, we say
Johannesburg
And that CFO trophy.
Ambo!
The Amango case, researched, designed and developed by the Charter Quest Institute, is based on a real-world multinational business within the global metal and mining industry. It simulates the strategic decisions its group CFO and board faced or potentially faces. The group is faced with the complex interplay of strategic threats, weaknesses, and opportunities, some of which are embedded with serious ethical dilemmas, involving compelling individuals and powerful stakeholders that create a context for significant organizational change. The board has published a 3-year viability statement and turnaround strategy with emphasis on 4 policy objectives. 1. Restructure the portfolio. 2. Deleverage the balance sheet. 3. Drive operational discipline. And 4. Change dividend policy. 6 major issues have surfaced that require the group's attention, for which the board has asked the teams to prioritize, evaluate, and offer strategic advice. Managing divisional performance group-wide. A strategic performance measure relied upon to evaluate and reward executives appears to be creating some dysfunctional behaviors with unintended consequences. The CFO global aspirants were required to apply concepts relevant to financial and performance management, strategic management, as well as cost and management accounting. Strategic joint venture decision in Canada. A native Aboriginal group in Canada has been on rampage against mining companies, singling out Amango for exploiting mineral resources with too little benefit accruing to their clan. A number of mining companies, including Amango, are going into JV arrangements to mitigate this risk and undertake coal mining projects following resurgence in coal prices. There is need to decide on the best configuration for the mining infrastructure, amongst others. The CFO global aspirants were required to apply concepts relevant to risk and decision management, people and relationship management, as well as a clear distinction between traditional and modern cost management accounting techniques. Strategic disposal in Brazil. Amango, as part of an ongoing asset restructuring program, has received a $1.5 billion offer to buy one of its subsidiaries in Brazil. The offer needs to be evaluated taking into account its interconnection with the corporate reconstruction and reorganization issue. The CFO global aspirants were required to apply concepts relevant to financial reporting, international financial management, as well as strategic management. Balance sheet deleverage or share repurchase. Amango's iron ore and coal disposal plans in South Africa has come under attack by the PIC, its single largest shareholder, who is threatening to dump its shares in the market if it proceeds with the disposal plan. In a separate development, the government is about to promulgate a new set of mining regulations that will impose a 10% royalty tax on the turnover of all mining companies and require them to surrender 26% of their ownership to historically disadvantaged persons as part of its Black Economic Empowerment (BEE) policies. The company is considering to rather sell part of its residential property portfolio to a BEE group and use the funds to meet specified objectives. The CFO global aspirants were required to apply concepts relevant to financial accounting, interest rate risk management, financial management, business ethics, industrial and community relations, the management of government relations, as well as strategic management, operational risk and industrial action in Australia. A controlled shutdown has been hurriedly effected in one of the group's mines in Australia, with 560 personnel evacuated due to safety concerns. 6 are reported dead, and 80 miners trapped in deep underground mines have been rescued. The incident has invited us notice to strike from the trade unions, and there is a protected strike that is already in motion. The CFO global aspirants were required to apply relevant costs and benefits, financial management, public relations management, human resources management, supply chain management, operations and safety management, as well as business ethics, corporate reconstruction and reorganization. There is a fierce board debate over the strategic direction of the group, impacting on the decision as to which businesses to sell and which ones to keep. The CFO global aspirants were required to apply concepts relevant to ROI, RI, EVA, and strategic management. Best wishes to the teams.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board and other people present here today. If it is a known fact in the world of business that commercial issue outweighs ethical issue in terms of the cash flow, the risk appetite, and stakeholder effects, hence, we at Highstein have prioritized and focused on your first 4 commercial issues, factoring in the impact, the urgency, and most importantly, the SWOT analysis. The first on our table is corporate construction and reorganization. The second is balance sheet, the leverage or share buyback. That's the choice between the devil and the deep sea. The third is the disposal in Brazil, while the fourth is the joint venture decision in Canada. Why other issues are addressed as ethical? Let's begin with corporate construction and reorganization. Captains of a mango ship. Do you know that the ship of Lehman Brothers did not sink in 2008, mainly because of the company's internal weaknesses, but rather for its failure to swiftly respond to the credit crisis in 2007. The same path, the same direction we see your company heading. And the very reason why we at Highstein will start with viewpoint 2, championed by John Panther, which strongly says, maintain and broaden the portfolio and do not dispose. First thing first, like another company whose credit rating is downgraded to junk like yourself, you prepared your Otmanzi score to know whether corporate construction is a necessity or a desire. After carefully calculating the Otmanzi score to be 1.006 from the benchmark of 1.8, we discovered that a mango is in a big financial distress and is likely to collapse. You might wonder, John Panther, sir, priority 2, 3, and 4 of your 3-year viability statements are not enough to save your company from this verge of collapse. Hence, the need for priority 1 and option 2 should be ruled out. The question on the table now is, should we settle for viewpoint 1, tabled by Mike Kutika, unevaluated? Oh, we professionally disagree. So, and this calls for our own evaluation recommendation. After employing Boston Consulting Group matrix and a street portfolio display, we discovered that platinum, diamond, copper, and surprisingly coal are your core business units, while nickel, niobium phosphate, iron ore, and manganese, corporates and others are your non-core. And with this evaluation led to our recommendation. You see, 1, you have to maintain the identified core business unit, but your group's sustainable core competence should be placed on platinum and diamond. 2, you monitor the non-core business unit in 2018 for cash generation, but your only niobium and phosphate in Brazil should be disposed of this year. The very reason will later be communicated to you by the team evaluation expert. And lastly, activity-based costing should be employed on corporate and others, for we have professionally detected that in that segment, arbitrary allocation of cost is employed. At this point, should we onboard the residential portfolio?
Upon critical examination of the board request, We have examined the overall impact of each option on the group's financial performance, the cost of capital and market value, and the political development in South Africa. In view of this, balance sheet leverage will result in a savings of 6% on the operating cost, which was previously expended in maintaining the apartment of the employees. In the same way, the cost of capital will be 5.5%, and the market value of debt will stand at $9.9 billion. As a result, this will improve your credit rating status and reduce your debt volatility by 30 basis points. Members of the board, balance sheet leverage will not only strengthen Amango's commitment in meeting the mining law and charter mooted by the South African government, it also serves as an avenue of threat by PIC to offload shares. Alternatively, embarking on share buyback, this will result in a savings of 90% on the operating cost. However, this has been previously incorporated into 2015 financials. Furthermore, a retrenchment cost and once-off productivity cost of $1 billion and $500 million need to be paid to implement this opportunity. The cost of capital under this option is 9%, and the recent decline in commodity price might not bring appropriate returns to your investors. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, financing share buyback would have an adverse effect on socio-economic development in South Africa, as this could lead to huge downsizing of labor force. In response to this, we recommend balance sheet leverage. However, the following accounting standards should be applied to your portfolios, which are IAS 40 on the investment property, IFRS 5 on the available for sales, and IAS 16 on the property portfolio. At this point, should we accept the offer by CMOC?
The scenario before us is akin to the scenario faced by Austria Miles Holding Limited in disposing its 100% equity stake to Newmont Australia Limited, which occurred in 1990. The 7 days time-bound offer by a Chinese mining giant CMOC has left your humble selves with two strategic options. Should the offer by CMOC be accepted, or should it be rejected? As a team, having undergone thorough evaluation, we concluded on 5 benefits that your company stands to gain if you accept this offer. They are, firstly, there will be total elimination of your intergroup debt of 1,452 million Brazilian real, which has a prospect of notching up your credit rating. Secondly, this would eliminate the need for additional investments in working capital and non-current assets of 103.23 million Brazilian real. Thirdly, you expect high level of risk avoidance under the leadership of President Temer. Also, you expect little or no foreign exchange risk, as the purchase consideration of $1,500 million will be paid directly into the US dollars bank account of your company. Lastly, sustainable returns of $249.55 million will be delivered to your investors, which is in line with one of your key priorities, Pillar G. Members of the board, dispose of your 100% equity stake in Ama Nobium Fostatos Limitada in Brazil to enjoy the aforementioned benefits, putting into consideration that it has been identified to be a non-core asset from our most prioritized issue, earlier elucidated by my colleague. What about strategic joint venture decision in Canada?
In Nigeria, my country, the Niger Delta Avengers declared war on US oil giant ExxonMobil, blowing up 48 of its pipelines and reiterating warnings against the furtherance of its operations as a result of their unmet demands. This scenario is synonymous with Amango's joint venture decision in Canada. Under the guidance of the Modified Enterprise Risk Management Framework with strategic objectives, 2 alternative options were considered, including your main joint venture with Cefas. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, if you continue your joint venture with Cefas, it will avail Amango a synergic benefit of sharing risk and capital, but an operational disadvantage of differences in management styles. Regarding the internal infrastructure, we affirm that Design 3 is the best option with the highest expected value of 7.75. Painfully, it will start to have a significant impact on Amango's cash flow from the year 2021. The risk embedded in this decision is further heightened as joint venture with Cefas could result to a counteraction by the Aboriginal band. Alternatively, you can discontinue joint venture and operate alone. But this option has a high financial risk, no synergic benefit, no economies of scale, as it will blatantly pronounce stagnancy for Amango Group. We recommend that you discontinue joint venture with Cefas for local partners. This option has a strategic and operational advantage of synergic benefit, economies of scale, calculated risk and benefit, as well as local networking. This option is further assessed under the Johnson, Scholes and Whittington's SAF model. Its suitability aligns with Pillar C and G. Its acceptability involves low risk and high and immediate expected return. Its feasibility involves low establishment cost, as both parties will have prior knowledge of prevailing market conditions. The overall impact, therefore, is that it will enhance Amango's financial performance as well as its competitive advantage. For traditional management accounting systems, 3 alternative options were considered. We recommend environmental activity-based costing, as it doesn't coincide with current systems, rather, it complements them. Ethical issues are important and cannot be overemphasized, hence our recommendation.
For operational risk and industrial action in Australia,
have a close-up meeting with Australian unions in Australia
and start operation on the new shafts.
For mining divisional performance group-wide,
You scrap your cash bonus system and adopt the share option as your new incentive.
and also set up an independent ethical committee to ensure compliance with company's code of conduct.
And for the PIC threats,
Don't dispose of your coal and iron ore mines in South Africa.
At this crossroad, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to repeat the relevance for our conclusion. 1. You maintain the identified core business unit and monitor the non-core till 2018 for cash generation. 2. You embark on balance sheet leverage. 3. You dispose of an MP to CMOC. 4. You discontinue the JV with CFAs for local partners. 5. You employ share option as a new incentive for rewarding your divisional managers. And lastly, you have a closed-door meeting with trade unions in Australia and ensure you discontinue production on the current shaft. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we move to our matters. I strongly believe with our recommendations, you move above your credit rating status and make a comeback as a world multinational mining and metal giant. Thank you.
Great presentation, passion. I would like you to just provide clarity to the board with respect to your consideration of urgency as you evaluated or prioritize the different issues. But also, what consideration did your team give to the 7 pillars of success, given that issues of health and safety was rated at 30%? Will that make you to reconsider your rating?
Thank you very much for that question. We would like to start with urgency. Doing our evaluation of your first 6 issue, which is corporate construction, we discovered that the interest of stakeholders is paramount. And going by the viewpoint tabled by Mike Kutika of radical portfolio structuring, we discovered that out of your 160,000 employees, you are likely to have half. But with our recommendation, we say to you that you monitor the non-core business unit. With that, you will be able to satisfy your employees' safety and assurance and all other factors. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Great presentation. Being such an environmentally friendly or hazardous business, and I saw you put up there triple bottom line reporting. Can you tell me what that means to the board, and do you feel we're doing it successfully enough?
Okay. In your traditional management accounting system, we of course consider 3 options, and triple bottom line was one of them. But for the fact that we have informed you to embark on a share option to reward your divisional managers, we see that with that decision, you'll be able to work ethically, because the main problem you're facing as an organization is the share option you are giving to your divisional managers. So in that view, we see that you are satisfying the social aspect of your business. Now, coming to the environmental, you will all agree with me that if you employ environmental activity-based costing, you will be able to capture the environmental cost. Because in Canada, you are about to embark on a coal project. And with that, we forcefully see that environmental activity-based costing supersede that of triple bottom line reporting. Thank you.
to operate with triple bottom line reporting, you can only operate with it alone. And we have seen that we're given a degree of excellence that from the integrated report of the 2016. So we see that the current traditional management account systems are working and are in place. So that's why we employ the environmental activity-based costing to complement it and not just to override it. So it will help to account for costs by attributing costs to their cost drivers and help you to capture your true environmental costs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Team Highstein, for a good presentation. You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that you weighted our commercial interest above our ethics, and maybe that influenced some of your recommendations. Part of the recommendations you gave us was to deleverage our balance sheet. Meaning that you advised us to sell off our property portfolio. You didn't tell us, though, what must we then do with our people? Did you consider what it would mean for us? How would we come across ethically as a board if we just want to make profit on our balance sheet without consideration for the livelihood of our employees?
Thank you. We'd consider the effect of the employees in making our decision based on the information provided to us by the board. There would be a reduction in the number of employees in South Africa, but that reduction will be complemented by the 90% return on the investment, because currently in South Africa, you have 90% investment in the property portfolio, but this will be complemented by the 29% investment that you have based on the information that you provide to us. So with that, the effect on the employees will be minimal.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Just building a little bit on that, also on the ethical issues, right? So we as a company, we're facing a big challenge in Australia. Looking into your priorities, is not even in number 1, number 2, number 3. Could you explain the rationale why having a bloody issue that is really impactful in the company is not considering the first top 3 priorities?
Thank you very much for that question. In our presentation, when we first applied Otman's score on corporate construction, and we see the enormity of you likely to collapse. And we see that setting corporate construction as number 1 and putting probably operational risk is like solving problem with problem. But with corporate construction and all other opportunities that follow, and you will be able to solve the corporate construction, which is an enormous problem with opportunities. And you might likely see that corporate construction has balance sheet leverage afterwards. That is solving the problem with an opportunity. And moving on to disposal. If you dispose of an MP to CIMO, you have more cash to be able to support corporate construction. We see, members of the board, that corporate construction is so enormous to use problem to solve problem. And that satisfied our concern on SWOT analysis. Because, frankly speaking, members of the board, corporate construction has more face on your SWOT analysis. It talks about the strengths, it talks about the threats, it talks about the opportunity and even your weakness. So we see from that view that corporate construction should be the first, balance sheet delivery should be the second to cater for it. So also the disposal, and lastly the JV decision.
And to add to that, in operational risk and industrial action in Australia, we've noticed that the high rates of fatalities and injury is as a result of the unethical decisions taken by Michael Tika, the CEO, and the CEO of the copper mine, that's Nigel Payne. And that was the main reason why we classified it to be an ethical issue. And how to overcome this is just for you to stop the operation on the new shaft and start the construction, stop operation on the old shaft and start construction of the new shafts. And by that, your employees will be fine.
Thank you for the presentation. What I missed, and I think it was touched on previously as well, is just the people issue. In terms of focusing, we had deaths in Australia. From your presentation, I got the feeling that it was not a high priority. And also just the issues with the unions weren't specifically addressed. Can you just unpack that further, please?
Thank you very much for that question. The reasons why issues are rising in Australia is solely because of the unethical decision taken by your divisional managers. Because you will see a link between the managing divisional performance group-wide and operational risk. Now, if Nigepain and Mike Kutika are saying that they should resume operation on the new shaft, it's because as an organization, you want to drive costs at all possible by hook and crook. So we're seeing from that light that it is not a commercial issue, it is an ethical issue. Because if we want to dig deep into what is causing issue in Australia, it's not because of the trade unions action, the stop reporting of hazard. There are effects that are actually facing your company. But the root cause, if you look at the root cause of what is happening in Australia, ladies and gentlemen of the board, is solely because of the short-term related bonus pay you are giving to your managers. They want to drive costs by all means necessary, by hook and crook. That is why we see that operational risk and industrial action is an ethical issue. It just seemingly seems to be a commercial. And if you see in our light, you will agree with us that operational risk and industrial action is an ethical issue. Thank you.
You have consistently emphasized that the issues that the board has raised, which need further clarity, is embedded within the proposal that you've made. Do you think if it was, will the board be asking you those questions?
Yes, the reason why you have hired us as consultants is to show clarity, to tell you issues that are seemingly commercial and ethical. Now, take for instance, if you are giving share option to your divisional managers in Australia, of course, Nigepain and Mike Kutika wouldn't have said that they should resume operation of the new shaft. Because if divisional managers are acting in the interest of the company, they will be acting with long-term strategy. They will not be they won't stop reporting hazards. Of course, they will be reporting hazards. And not alone, the reason why the trade unions are acting unethically, are coming up with their action, is solely not because of what you guys have done, it's solely because of the short-term performance-related pay you are giving to them. And I think if you look in depth, because it took us a while, to actually fathom that operational risk and industrial action is an ethical issue. But we hope you see in that light. Thank you.
Thank you very much.